So this email comes out from Brett Johnson, as you say, on Tuesday night, Stewie, which Judy, as I say, a number of people sent to us. Clearly, very, very interesting. And you got to work on that yesterday, Stu. So do you want to start kind of with the takeaway headline stuff, I suppose, from it, and then we can maybe go through what's actually within line by line of the email. You want to start there? Right up to you.
Yeah. So it's an email that's gone out far and wide. If you've had any kind of communications with Brett Johnson over the last few years, of which several Ipswich Town fans have had, because Brett's been very open and communicative with the fan base. So it's surprised me that something of this importance has managed to kind of be spread so far and wide to the number of people as it has. So yeah, we wake up yesterday morning and this email is everywhere, and it's essentially Brett Johnson saying that there is a stake up for grabs at Ipswich Town. I'm just going to remind myself of it here in front of you, but the opening gambit is that Three Lions Capital has negotiated the rights to acquire a controlling interest in one of the premier football clubs in England. Doesn't state Ipswich, but it's pretty obvious as you go on to read it that Ipswich is the club that he's talking about. So a total capital raise of between 184 million and 214 million, 14 will require a majority stake at an enterprise value of 375 million. So they're basically saying you can buy yourself a controlling interest in the club, which immediately everyone's eyes bulge and think, wow, what's going on here? So we're scrambling to kind of work out what it all means.
Yeah. So Stu, having made said calls, what do you understand it all means? Because clearly, whenever you say anything like this, and you're talking about needing, well, not needing, but wanting more investment, there immediately becomes questions around a club just relegated from the Premier League, what's going on, that kind of stuff. So what do you understand is the headline kind of meaning of all this before we kind of get into some of this stuff?
Well, the briefing from the football club, the guidance from the football club is this isn't as big as it seems, written down. That this is essentially the pension fund being open to dialing down their investment in the club. They've made a pretty good return on investment in a short space of time, and it will essentially be them selling some of their shares to somebody else. So fresh investment, I guess you could query the term fresh investment because it's not money on top of what's already there. It's money replacing what is already within the club, but it's fresh in the fact that it will be new people coming to the table. The controlling interest part is interesting because if you're, as I said, it's, ORG/Arizona Pension Fund is 50% of the club. So it doesn't take much to work out that it only takes a very small tipping of the scales to knock 50% in the other direction towards other investors. But the feeling I get speaking to the club is that it will still be Ed Schwartz kind of at the head of that. You do still need a primary decision maker when you've got more and more investors coming to the table. You need to have somebody who's at kind of the head of that. Now, you would query if somebody had more than 50% stake in the club, they would want to be the key decision maker there, but they might be happy coming in saying, well, you guys have done an incredible job to this point. It's proven, almost sort of passive investors, and you can continue to kind of be the key decision makers there. That's the feeling I get from the club. But if I'm someone coming along and buying more than half of the club, you would imagine you'd want to be the driving influence behind it. So that side of things, I guess, needs a little bit more clarity. So that's where we're at, really. Surprised at how much information has gone out to however many people. I think it's important to say that even though that this is, people have latched on to the fact that it's come from Brett Johnson and the Three Lions, there's a sense that they're going to be the ones that are kind of there's a power shift towards the Three Lions. From what I gather, this has been kind of 6 months quietly happening in the background. It's been ORG quietly putting feelers out. It's been Bright Path and the new investors quietly putting feelers out to to various people, and a sense actually that there is a clamour in the US market still to get involved in English football. You can see the vast numbers of US takeovers that are happening. There's only a finite number of English football clubs with these opportunities are available. So, yeah, I think there's a sense that Ipswich can be selective about the people that they bring in. It's been said by all of the owners at every juncture along the way that they will only bring in people that they feel fit with the values of the football club. They feel that they've done that with Bright Path and Sam Simon, etc. And we've profiled a bit of those guys. And on the surface, that does seem to be the case. And I'm sure they'll do so again at this juncture going forwards.
Yeah, I mean, when the takeover regime happened, there were obvious questions around the pension fund and them needing to get return on their investment. And if you look at what they've done, we just talked there about buying the club for 40 million. 40 million would barely buy you Liam Delap now. So it's been an incredible investment, and clearly, they've rocketed into the Premier League and made a lot of money that way.
They've made a lot of money and they've put a lot of money in. You've got to remember that there's how much money's gone into the stadium, a multi-million-pound training ground that's currently underway. The money that's gone into building the squad as well. So, but even taking into account all that spend, they've made their money, and there has to come a point, certainly from ethically, morally, from a pension fund's point of view. This is the hard-earned cash of people that have risked their lives throughout their careers, that are enjoying their well-earned retirement, and Mark Steed in particular has to think about when the time is right, risk versus reward, to start withdrawing some of that. And it seems on the surface that they've decided that time is now, of course. So there's no guarantee that Ipswich will bounce back straight back. It's time to pass some of that risk on to somebody else, because there's risk, but there's still a great deal of reward involved in Ipswich Town, and where everyone internally feels that they can get to. And I think there'll be a queue of people ready to take that on and take on that challenge.